Being compliant is just straightforward. Being maliciously compliant? Well, that's another story. Welcome to this episode of Malicious Compliance. Our first one is from I'm the One Who. I'm the facility manager for my building. Everything that happens and goes wrong is my responsibility, so I make sure everything runs smoothly. My boss has made it clear, it's my building, and I was hired not only to keep people in line, but run everything. I'm not a dick, but I hold people accountable, forcibly but politely. There was no facility manager for a long time before I came along, and both clients and employees run amok, with no order. In the 4 months I've been here, my boss has praised my performance and has gone to bat for me countless times. She's the best boss I've ever had. I've got a firm but fair approach and my reputation reflects that. I've got a Karen in the building, and trust me, the name stereotype applies, who's just a counselor for family services, has nothing to do with our group. She likes to complain about everything and gives my boss a headache almost daily. She shares an office with another woman who's, unfortunately, picking up on her Karen tendencies. Karen in training. I've been doing a keycard audit all week, and I knew to leave Karen's keycard alone because she's the only Karen in the building, so her name stands out. I'm missing 75 keycards, lots of former employees having all-door access, dating all the way back to 2015. Can't have that, so I deleted a lot of them, especially if it had a wacky name or just a room number. However, I did delete Karen in Training's cards information because it wasn't under her name. She just came to tell me her keycard wasn't working, and Karen happened to be passing by and overheard it. I went and fixed Karen in Training's keycard, and we went to go check to see if it worked or not. We found Karen outside of the office, waiting, complaining to my boss that her keycard didn't work either. Karen wandered away, and my boss rolled her eyes, and I smiled and told her I would take care of it. After checking to make sure Karen in Training's keycard worked, I went downstairs to check the system, looked up Karen, and wouldn't you know it, her keycard was completely fine. In fact, it showed she had a master keycard, so I changed all of her permissions and limited her back to just her room only. I went upstairs and got my boss's attention because her office is next door to the ladies, and I mouthed, "Listen," and pointed. I opened their door and was all, "Hey Karen, I went and checked your keycard in the system. Everything is good to go. In fact, it said you had a master key to the building, and per the company orders, since you're not a contractor or company employee, I can't give you that access. So I had to revoke your status to just this room only. Can't have you bugging people on official business, wink. Thanks for bringing your keycard to my attention." She started to object that she needed the master keycard because XYZ, and I was all, "Yeah, sorry, maybe before, but I'm the facility manager and you don't need access to everything except this office, and if you do, it's outside your pay grade, so you'll have to come get me, okay? Cool, thanks, bye." And then I just closed the door on her mid-sentence. My boss was quietly laughing her ass off in the office and just gave me an air high five. Edit, to be clear, I'm not talking down about my coworkers. They're fantastic people, and no, I'm not a suck-up. They work in education and bend over backwards to help students and customers get the information and help they need. The building mostly got shut down and neglected, and customers got lazy due to the C word. We offer free classrooms to those who need it, including a computer lab, by reservation first come first served basis. The problems we ran into was that the previous facility manager passed away suddenly and the replacement was temporary, coupled with the C word, and this was our problem. My coworkers weren't able to enforce rules and regulations, and rooms were left destroyed and neglected, keys stolen, etc. Since my arrival, I've enforced the rules and allowed the staff to resume their normal duties, without having to clean up after and babysit customers. Karen isn't staff. She's just renting an office. She has no business having access to our materials, supplies, or workspaces, especially when they're handling students' private information. I'm under the impression that Karen felt like she had a bigger role and a much bigger impact in the company than she really did, and when taking away her keycard access woke her up to that, she just couldn't accept it. This next one is by Chris Hansen Fetish. The entry-level position at my old company is a revolving door. The pay is low, the work is unrewarding, and the expectations are unattainably high for the vast majority of the staff. The average time in that position is 6 months. This is by design. It's a position that requires minimal training, and there are plenty of applicants willing to work for minimum wage. It's actually a really great entry into the field and uses all of the industry standard practices and tools. Most people use it as a launching point for a successful career and move on to a higher paying job after half a year. One of the cool things about the position is that they offer a great perk for paid time off. You get 1 hour of paid time off for every 30 hours worked. There are no caps on accrual or limits on usage. It's a great way to attract recent college grads to the position. They feel like they're getting a great benefit, and the company knows that they'll be gone in 6 months anyway, so they don't end up paying for a lot of the time off. I took the job fully expecting to be gone within a year, but I ended up thriving in the position. My bosses were impressed, and they offered me raises if I would stay with the company and increase my scope of responsibility. Every time I started to think that my career was stagnating, they would make staying in that position worth it. After a couple of years, I had learned enough that I felt confident in my ability to take on a mid-level role, so I asked for consideration. The mid-level role comes with benefits and a salary, along with a title that would look great on my resume. The drawback was that this position has a cap of 4 days of paid time off usage per year. Still, it would be a great stepping stone in my career, so I was eager to move up. The only problem is that the mid-level position hires from a pool of candidates with an MBA, which I don't have. My boss told me that they would love to have me work on that team and would give me a good raise, but I wouldn't get the title, salary, or benefits without an MBA. Works for me. I know how to write a resume and present myself in an interview, so the title is meaningless as long as I'm doing the work of that role. The pay increase would be great leverage while I search for a new job. And I don't need the benefits. I don't need to be on the company's healthcare plan because I get free healthcare from the VA. I don't need their 401k plan because my wife's company has a better one. I don't need their student loan repayment benefits because the GI Bill paid for my degree. So I took the promotion, but I kept my original title. I don't think they realized this also means I kept my original paid time off structure, and that at my new pay rate, giving that much paid time off would kind of be expensive. After about a year in that position, I was ready to move on. I told my boss I wanted to use all of my available paid time off, and he said, "No problem, enjoy your 4 days." No, you don't understand. I'm still a entry-level job title. I'm off for the next 6 weeks. I actually did take a month off and had a great time. Then I started job hunting full-time and quickly got offers. When my paid time off was over, I came back to the company with my 2 weeks notice. The timing was bad for the company because they didn't plan on spending that much on PTO that quarter. I hope they've revisited their decision to tell me that I was capable of doing a job but not qualified for the benefits of that job. You know, they only shot themselves in the foot because they had you doing the job that required an MBA but didn't want to give you the title and everything that came with it, kept you where you were, so yeah, you played your hand and you played it well. Hopefully in the future, they'll rethink their strategy. And our final one is from Bills by You. The car accident was of the side impact variety and it was brutal. This was in the days before airbags and seatbelt laws. 1 second I'm driving and the next I'm halfway out the passenger window watching blood run off my head to pool in the glass of a previously closed window. Another second ticks by and I'm in the ER receiving 13 crude stitches for 11 inches of wide open scalp. I lost more than 2 pints of blood and a large patch of hair. I also lost my favorite white fishnet t-shirt, but that's a separate tragedy. That Friday of Labor Day weekend was how my name shows up in the newspaper list of Labor Day weekend accidents. Tuesday comes and I go to class at the local college. Being a teenager gave me the gift of immortality. There I was, fully ambulatory, just 4 days after a serious car accident. For the sake of propriety, I'm wearing a hat to cover the fresh injury. It was a white Panama hat with a bright 80s style headband. As this was 1983, everything was 80s styled. but that's a separate tragedy. Hobbling along, I make it to sociology just as the class was beginning. I take a seat in the back of the class and settle in. The conversation went something like this. "Excuse me, could you remove your hat, please?" The teacher had her own sense of propriety. My hat didn't fit with the proper classroom attire. "I was in a car accident," I replied. Did she hear my words, or was one of her rude students muttering another in a career-long list of excuses? Likely the latter was the case. "Take off the hat. You cannot wear that in my class." Indicated she was not happy with my hat. Not at all. Well, okay then. Off comes my hat. Roughly a third of my hair had been shaved off. The wound was pink and puckered. The seam had a line of dried blood in it. The wound began an inch beyond my missing hairline and continued back, branching into a Y shape. The surgeon's instructions were to keep the wound clean, dry, and unbandaged. Lucky for all in attendance, my mother had washed my scalp the previous day. She used the word gore at some point to describe what she was washing off. Imagine if you're one of my classmates. Whatever you would say at that point would be something I heard from my classmates and friends. You can put your hat back on," said the teacher. "Not before a little malicious compliance, I won't." "But I can't wear hats in class," I replied. "I mean, I can do it, but not if I'm breaking the rules." "Please put your hat on." "Okay, if you insist." And the hat went back on my head. My advice is not to engage in malicious compliance on the very first day of class. Not in a course where the teacher gives essay questions. That was the only C I received that semester, but that's a separate tragedy. I love how the teacher had the dress code, didn't even care to listen to what you had to say outside of just thinking it was an excuse, and then they saw it and realized that you were actually being honest. Hopefully in the future they'll learn to listen to their students a little bit better, and I'm glad you're all good and survived. Alright, that's enough compliance for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Malicious Compliance. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons, have a great day and stay safe out there.